So this exhibition is called Interregna. It features new artwork by Perth artists Abdul Abdullah, Ayres and Nathan Beard. These three artists collaborated previously at last year's 2012 Next Wave Festival in Melbourne on a collaborative project that was called the Greater Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere, which was a week-long series of performances and events that was centred around the
experience of being Asian in Australia.
Yeah.
An interregnum dictates a period of absence in which a throne is unoccupied between two successive rulers. It's a kind of a space in which established systems of power and meta-narratives which support that power are suddenly kind of left adrift, and new meanings are allowed to proliferate in their stead.
My name is Nathan Beard, and my two works for the exhibition are Anime, Tina, Angela, I Idolize You, and River Deep, Mountain High. The shrine-based video work, I Idolize You, is based on glass coffins that are used to preserve dead monks. My cultural background is half Thai, half Australian, and I've been dealing a lot with the Thai influence in my art practice lately, especially to do with the aesthetic of domestic shrines, which are usually placed in Buddhist households. And so the video work is inspired by the film What's Love Got to Do With It, and the fact that Tina Turner converted to Buddhism. And it was an obscure fact that I had no idea about until I watched the film. And so I wanted to try to preserve that moment and its reinterpretation in the film with a domestic style shrine. The painting behind it, the watercolor River Deep, Mountain High, is based on I guess traditional Chinese watercolor landscape paintings, but the coloration and some of the line work in there are taken from film stills from What's Love Got to Do With It, and based on bruising patterns that Angela Bassett has on her after she's beaten by Lawrence Fishburne that plays Ike Turner. The shrine work itself contains offerings like fried chicken that I've made out of clay and breadcrumbs, and it's sort of like an approximation of a soul food item, something that bridges my traditional Thai heritage with, I guess, this approximation of I guess, this transference between her and Buddhism. The video work that is at the base of the shrine is comprised of real-life footage of Tina Turner concerts and productions of Proud Mary from the film What's Love Got to Do With It. So in editing those scenes together with video of Angela Bassett and Tina Turner in different videos doing Buddhist chants, I guess the work is yeah, just really interested in this notion of how Buddhism is reappropriated and filtered through popular culture. And I think it was important for me just to try to figure out how to bridge my esoteric Western cultural influences with part of my Eastern cultural heritage, and approaching it from a spiritual angle was something that I found particularly interesting as well. The kitsch cultural elements, particularly within sort of like a Thai domestic shrine sort of aesthetic, it's actually a really earnest way of portraying the spirituality. So what I was trying to do was recreate that honestly. That sense of found objects and the arrangement of things. I think part of the provocation of the work, I guess, lies in that tension between, I guess, like a Western and an Eastern aesthetic palette, and the teasing out, especially from coming from a hybrid cultural background, sort of extrapolating on the differences between the two and I guess the incompatibilities between the two was something that I found really interesting. And sort of a language that I've cultivated throughout years of my mother's influence and growing up just in a household that had that sort of aesthetic as well.
The three paintings behind me are called Tell Me Something, Tell Me How It Is, and most of the time I'm not thinking anything. And they're three portraits, I guess they're portraits of my two brothers and I. The first one, most of the time I'm not thinking anything, was painted sort of in a response to the recent Sydney riots, where I was actually out with friends and they were questioning me about my opinion of the Sydney riots and how I felt about it. And what I felt from their line of questioning is that they wanted me to respond, whether they wanted me to justify it or they wanted me to apologise for it. And sure, I had an opinion on it, but I didn't feel that I should have to justify it or apologise for it. I didn't think that was my position which I had to take. And so these paintings were in a sort of response to that. In the title, most of the time I'm not thinking anything. For me, when painting someone, the face and the hands have become the most interesting things for me to portray. Like, clothing has taken a step back, and I felt that if I wasn't interested in painting it, then I should just neglect it. And with these particular paintings, I'm more interested in the shape, and they're all suggesting, you might not see it at first, but if you're aware of the poses, that's all referencing the Muslim prayer position, or more specifically, just after the Muslim prayer. So after prayer, the way people sit and the way people relax in the mosque. And that's directing the viewer to the fact that we are Muslims, and that's an integral part of our identity. The painting installation that I have out in the hall is a series of works on board. They're all in really nice sort of ice creamy pastel colours, but they all say the same thing. They all say "go home," and it sort of comes with a process that I have of like reappropriating really racist bumper stickers that you see around town. It's funny, when I had a show in Melbourne, I did a big work where it was a light box with the shape of Australia on it that said "fuck off, we're full." And what was interesting for me there is that none of the Melbourne audience had recognised it as a bumper sticker. Like in Perth, it's around, and the few people that were from Brisbane that were there recognised it, but the people from Melbourne didn't know what I was talking about. They thought that I'd made it up, which was interesting. But in Perth, it has a really sort of an impact because you see it every day. And the works "go home," the way that I put them together was to have these really sort of pretty colours, really neatly sort of painted things, but it's a really aggressive message that's putting across to go home. And the way that a metaphor that I sort of use for the work is that it's how a person like me, or a brown-skinned person, or an immigrant, or a Muslim, or any one of these people that is sort of on the other, that's how they watch Good Morning Australia, where it's all pretty colours, it's all like good production values, but between the lines they're just telling you to fuck off and go home.